This is Andy Tabus. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about list boxes, using list boxes on forums. This is the Access Eastern Time user group. We do this the third Friday of every month at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and you can see the link here, AccessUserGroups.org/ET. I'm Andy Tabus. I'm a Microsoft MVP 3 times for Access. And if you need to reach me, my email address, andy@worksmartdb.com, and my mobile number, 616-258-1408. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about list boxes, and then afterwards we're going to open it up to questions. And you know, a lot of people ask me about, well, I don't know about a lot of people, but a few people have asked me over the years about the differences between a combo box and a list box. And so I want to kind of cover that today. So I'm going to move this over. I've created a little Access database here, which has a table called TBL International MVPs. And so in this case, there's roughly 3,300, 3,361 MVPs in this list. I can't remember if this list includes, there's a bunch of anonymous MVPs that they receive the award, but maybe they work for a company and they can't publicize that they're an MVP for whatever reason. So, but this is a table. It's got an ID field, who the person is, the country they're with, the category they're in, and then the number of awards that they've received. And it could be for the one category, or it could be multiple categories. Some MVPs are MVPs of more than one category. And so the first thing after importing this table is I created a form called FRM MVPs. And so this is a list box. And the nice thing about a list box is usually, like with a combo box, you hit the drop down menu and you can select one, whereas a list box, you've got the ability to select more than one item in a list, which can be really handy. I find it especially useful for a case where you want to send an email to multiple people in your list, or perhaps you're in an organization where you've got a list of employees and you want to see, you know, what their salary is for those individuals, or whatever. Whatever you need to look up for those people, so that only those people appear in a report. So I've got the ability to multi-select. I'm going to go into Design View to show you this. So in this list box, I've got the ability, you can see here's the row source that shows us the ID, person, the country, category, number of awards. And you'll notice here I've got category being sorted ascending, and then I've got the person being sorted ascending as well. And so this gives us the ability to see this information in ascending order. So if I were to run this, you can see that we've got this table where you've got the people being sorted alphabetically, then we've got the country, and then the award. In this case, we're sorted by category first, even though it's appearing in the fourth column, and then the person's name there. And so in this list box, we also have if we go into, you can see we've got the column lists here, so you can see the column lists. You've got the data, we've got the row source type, bound control. You've got the event, which is like an on-click kind of a property. And then you've got the other. If you'll notice in other, we've got multi-select as simple. So you've got the ability to have none, which means that you're only selecting one item, or you can do simple, or you can do extended, or you can do extended as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what this query does now. So I'm going to click on this query, and go into the event procedure, and it's jumped in on one of my other screens, so I moved it over. And by the way, when we get done with this presentation, I'll be posting the code. I'll post the entire database to the web, to our Eastern Time group, so that you can download this exact database and you can play with it on your own. And so in here, we've got the button query selected. By the way, I use the name convention BTN for button. Some people use CMD for command button. Either way is fine. I just prefer BTN because it's easier for customers or end users to understand that it's a button instead of a command button. But what you'll see here is it's going through and it's dimming a database, and it's creating the query definition called query MVPs in original list box. And then what it's doing is it says for each variable item in these items selected. So that's the important thing, is basically it's saying for each of the items selected, we're going to add that ID to the query in order to only grab those items that were selected. If it's null, it'll pop up a message box. You did not select anything from the list, so there's nothing to find. And then it sets the criteria, sets the SQL string, and then it opens the query. And so basically that's how that works. So when I'm going to go ahead and close the code window. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and view it, and I'm going to go ahead and select myself, and you know what, I'm going to grab Juan Soto. But this is the nice thing, is that I can select multiple people, within this list, and I can click on Query Selected MVPs. So now you'll see that this query is showing both myself and Juan Soto. Juan Soto, by the way, is the founder of the AccessUserGroups.org. Him and Ben Clothier created this group, and so Juan's a good friend of mine. And so you can see these two people appear in the query. If I were to look at the design view of this query, you'll notice that it says it's grabbing the ID of whoever is number 324 and whoever is number 1570. If I look in the table, that's actually just an auto number field. So it's just, I didn't do anything fancy there. And so I'm going to go ahead and close that table again. And I don't need to say that. And so basically what it's doing is it's saying, hey, only select these two people. Now, if I were to say, I want to select one, and, I'm going to select, 3 or 4 of these. Go ahead and query these. And if I go into design view of this, now you'll see that there's more items selected. So we've got 5 of them here instead of just the one selected. So, that's kind of the beauty of using a select list box here, is we've got the ability to just select them as we go, and then only those items will appear in the query. And again, we've got these selected, and again, it doesn't matter whether you're in it doesn't matter what part of the list box you're in. You can just select them at any part of the list box. Whereas like with a combo box, you've got a drop-down menu, and in a combo box, you're only selecting one item, and it's kind of hard to see a lot of data in there. Whereas, like I said, in this list box, we've got over 3,000 records in here, and so the ability to be able to scroll up and down is really a nice feature. And again, you select the ones that you want. You click on Query Selected MVPs. It'll show those that you want. I could have also built a report based on this query, so that so that these 5 people would appear in that report. Or I could even have taken it a step further and said, hey, let's email these 5 people from here, or let's create a PDF of these 5 people and maybe the details that go along with their in this case MVP status, um, you know, you can do anything with that data that you want to after the information is selected. So, and again, this database, when we're done with this presentation, I will be posting this database to the Access Eastern Time group site so that you can download this database and play along with it on your own. The other sample I want to show you is what another MVP has done, and this is quite a while ago now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you. I'm going to move over. This is an old MDB file, and what this is it kind of takes the multi-select database a step further. And so in this demonstration, this is an MDB file, and again, this is another one that I'm going to make available to to the group. I'll go ahead and post it, or I'll at least post a link to the UK Access Programmers UK site so you can download it. But the nice thing about this is that in some cases, like I showed in the other demonstration, okay, you've got like 3,300 names, 3,400 names, and it's once you start selecting things, the further down the list you go, you may forget which of those are actually in your list. So you're like, oh man, did I select George? Did I select, Richard? Who, I can't remember. So what this does is it kind of takes that one step further, and I consider this best practices because this is something that an end user can intuitively understand, and they'd immediately be able to see what people are on the list. And so this is like an original list of data, and what I can do is I can actually select multiple ones of these. And he uses a little hand. I usually use an arrow. But when I select these, it's automatically being added to the list. But not only is it added from this unwanted list to this wanted list, you'll notice that it's removed from this list. And so if I select in 10 and move it over, you'll see that it appears now in this wanted list and it no longer appears in unwanted. And that's kind of nice because in this list, you don't want people still seeing the item in the unwanted list if it's already selected. And so by doing this automatically filters them out of one list into the other list. And again, you can also move it back. So if I choose this number 4, hit the left arrow, I can move it back. They've also got the ability to select all, deselect all, those kind of things. You can also, like if you have a few of these selected, you can toggle, the opposite of those. And then you can move them over. And again, with this side, you can also select all, deselect all, that kind of stuff. And so this is another way of going about and again, moving things from one list to another. And again, this is an MDB file. So this was probably created back in, I want to say like version 2003, something like that. And I will make that available as well. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this box, and you can kind of see, basically it's got the ID, who the employee is, these field flags. We can look at the sample data so we can see, and basically what they've done is put in a yes/no field that says, okay, are they selected? Are they not selected? And because they've got the toggling, go back into here. So as I select these, or select all, deselect all, do whatever I need to with these, it will update the data behind the scenes for that. So, and again, if you want to look at the code, just right mouse click on the form, go into design view. You can see the onload procedure, and then you'll want to look at the button properties. So you can go into on click and see, whoops, went on the other screen again. And so you can see here exactly what they're doing. It's basically, again, for each variable item, for each item selected in that list box, do something with it. So move it over to the other list, or in this case, really what it's doing is it's saying, turn this flag on or off. And when that flag is on or off, then refresh that list so that the list either when it re-queries both lists, it's no longer on one list and it's on the other list, kind of simulating that it's moving from one to another. When in actuality, all it's doing is it's turning on and off a flag there. So that's a quick demonstration of list boxes. And again, like I said, when we get done with this presentation, I'll be posting this to the Eastern Time group, so that you can download and play with these on your own. And so I'm going to go ahead and open the floor for any questions. Again, as in this group, what we do is we have a short presentation, which usually lasts 20 to 30 minutes. And then after that, we open up the floor to other people to kind of ask questions. And hopefully we can get them answered during this call, or at least point people in the right direction. And so right now I see everyone's muted, but so if you want to unmute and then ask a question, that's great. Or if you have any comments, that's great. Or if you want to just put something in the message window, that's totally cool as well. Everyone's quiet this morning. I see George on the call, so it's an early morning for him. It's 6:30 where he's at. All right, Jim is saying good presentation. Great, thanks, Jim. And again, I know a couple of you showed up a little bit later, and we'll be posting this whole presentation to the Eastern Time group as well. We'll have that done by Monday, so you can watch the whole presentation if you want. And then, and while we're waiting for any questions or comments, I would like to hear if anybody has anything that they'd like to see a demonstration of in the next meeting or two, and I'd be happy to go over that. Hey, George.
Good morning. Sorry about that. As you say, it's 6:30 in the morning here. I was late. I missed the bulk of it. I enjoyed that though.
Yeah, no problem. I know it's an early morning for you.
Yeah. But typically I'm up by this time, but generally I'm working on my second cup of coffee. So
yeah. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so Jim just posted a question. He still struggles with early and late binding. He'd like a presentation on that in a future class. I think that's a great topic, Jim. Why don't we plan on doing that one in December? Because I think that's an awesome topic. I'm gonna make a quick note here. That's awesome. That's a great one. Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with that, Jim. I've heard that one come up in other questions as well. So I think that'll be a great one to tackle. And Richard, I appreciate your help this past Wednesday. I was doing a presentation, George, on integrating Power BI into Power Apps, and for some reason, when I was pinning a um, item to a dashboard, it wasn't appearing inside of Power Apps, and so it was again, it was one of those blinding flash of the obvious BFOs. And Richard's like, "Oh, you need to hover over it in the report and just hit the little pin, and then automatically it showed up." So uh, he, I appreciate his help.
Yeah, I set a reminder for that one, but of course I forgot to adjust for the time zone, so I missed it. But I'm looking forward to the video. It will be available as a video, right?
Yeah, it'll be available. Let me check. It may actually be up already because let's take a look. Oh, not yet. Yeah, but it will be up. I sent it to Alex on Wednesday, so probably by Monday it'll be up if it's not up by the end of today. All right. Well, if um, oh yeah, yeah, I see you and Ron chatting timing and resource issues.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to get into details in a public forum, but
Yeah.
there's been some. We've attempted to schedule several meetings that didn't go.
Okay. Well, if you ever want me to talk in one of those, I'd be happy to, do a webinar in one of those as well.
Okay, I'll mention that to Teresa.
Okay. Yeah, I know it can be a little tricky. I know with the Eastern Time group, over the summer, things really started slowing down, and we always had one attendee, which was that Giorgio in Italy, who was not in the Eastern Time, um, but he would always come. So I've been trying to publicize it a little bit more now that we've entered the fall, and um, I'm going to start doing a bit more marketing of it. All right. Well, if nobody has any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here.